Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we sift through all kinds of source material-dense research, policy docs, or, in today's case, a piece of meditative philosophy.
That's right.
And we pull out the most actionable, the most surprising insights so you can get truly well-informed and fast.
And today we are taking a really fascinating and I think a very specific detour. Our source is an 8-minute guided script. It's called The Altar of Breakfast, a self-love meditation.
Right.
So we're not analyzing nutrition data here. We're doing a deep analysis of, well, emotional wisdom and how it's applied to the most mundane and maybe the most overlooked routine of the day.
The morning meal.
Exactly.
Breakfast. Okay, so let's unpack this because it's an unusual approach. The mission here isn't to tell you what to eat, but how to approach the act of eating itself.
Yes, we're extracting the practical philosophy that's embedded in this script.
It's analyzing how framing this ritual as something, well, sacred teaches this profound self-respect and combats that, that constant low-level stress that starts the second your alarm goes off.
Precisely. The whole goal of this deep dive is to understand the concept that you don't just eat breakfast. The script wants you to actively meditate on it.
It turns a necessity into a sacred morning.
It does. It's a complete transformation.
That reframing is so key. I've found the initial hook completely disarming. It starts with this assertion of your own worth, telling you, you deserve this slowness, you deserve this nourishment.
It really sets the tone. It's not a chore, it's a right.
Yeah.
It immediately grants you permission to slow down, which honestly is often the hardest part of modern self-care. But this sacred meal, it actually starts even before you get to the kitchen.
Right, at the very beginning, the mindful awakening. That's around the 45-second mark in the script.
Exactly.
And it sets the whole internal stage. It introduces this character, the wise girl, who deliberately chooses a different internal monologue. We all know the typical one, right? The mental spiral of being late, the deadlines, the emails.
Right, yeah, the dread.
But her first thought is inward. It's, I love you, body.
And that is a fundamental psychological intervention right there. Psychologists often say that your first thought upon waking can dictate the emotional trajectory of your whole morning.
So by replacing that stress with love, you're sort of installing a firewall.
A self-focused firewall. I like that. And the script is, I think, genius at reframing a basic bodily signal that most of us just ignore or even resent: hunger.
Instead of treating hunger like this, complaining alarm clock that's interrupting your productivity.
Right.
It teaches you to listen to it, as if your stomach is whispering wisdom.
That is such a powerful shift, because hunger isn't demanding, it's asking, please feed me with kindness today. It elevates that biological signal from a nuisance into, well, a request for respect.
And if you ignore a demand, you feel guilt. But if you ignore a polite request for kindness,
you feel self-neglect. It's much deeper.
So the immediate practical action that follows this is simple, but it feels potent. The script tells you to sit up slowly, place a hand on your heart, and smile inward.
It's a physical grounding technique. That physical touch, it just locks in the mental intention. You're physically acknowledging your body's request before your feet even hit the floor.
It stops that impulse to just jump into the day.
Exactly. Your first movements become deliberate, not reactive.
So once that internal state is set, we move into the kitchen. This is the sacred kitchen ritual, and it starts around the 2-minute mark.
And the sensory cues are so deliberate. The script talks about walking barefoot, feeling the cool floor, just a simple act of being present. It also reframes the light coming through the window. It's not just time passing.
It's a golden blessing.
Yes. The kitchen is explicitly transformed from just a utility zone into a sanctuary.
What really stands out to me here is the core metaphor for the food itself. The script calls the selection of ingredients choosing love letters. And that just takes the mundane act of, pulling a carton of eggs out of the fridge and gives it this deep symbolic meaning.
And it doesn't leave those symbols vague, which is important. It offers these very simple translations. Bread equals comfort.
Eggs are new beginnings.
And butter. Butter is the softness I give myself. It provides this, emotional architecture for the whole meal.
Okay, but let's talk practically. How sustainable is that high level of symbolic intention every single morning? What if you just grab a protein shake? Isn't that affirmation, I matter, just setting you up for guilt when you don't have time for a full ritual?
That's a crucial question, but I think the wisdom here isn't about how complex the meal is. It's about the intention. Even choosing that protein shake with the thought, I am choosing fuel to support my busy body, and that is love. that still satisfies the core mantra.
So it's the mental filter, not the specific ingredient.
Exactly. The script emphasizes that every choice is an affirmation. I matter, and I am here for me. It establishes self-care as this non-negotiable thing, no matter how much time you have.
Okay, so that brings us to the active preparation phase, the mindful preparation, around 3.5 minutes in. This is where the sensory language gets incredibly rich.
Oh, it really does. It slows down the mechanics of cooking to make them almost transcendent. Think about how often we rush past these sounds.
The pan warming slowly, the crack of the egg, which it calls a rebirth sound.
Yes. And the sizzle in the pan is defined as life waking up. It turns the ordinary sounds of making breakfast into this, sacred, self-affirmative sound design.
And the emotional metaphors are layered on so beautifully. Watching the yolk spread all golden becomes this moment of appreciation, this beauty for me.
It turns the act of preparation into pure reception. And connecting this to emotional healing, the script has this one really profound metaphor.
The butter.
The butter. When it melts into the toast, the narrator says that's how she melts hardness in her heart.
That is a deep psychological transference. We all carry that hardness, right? Defenses, grudges.
And the script uses the physical softening of the butter as a tangible anchor for the emotional state you want. You're watching something solid become pliable, and that symbolizes self-compassion.
So preparing the food is preparing yourself.
Right. And even pouring coffee is described as a warm hug from herself to herself.
It consolidates the whole preparation phase.
Yeah.
All these sensory details build toward that one mantra, I nurture what I love.
Which brings us to actually eating it. Segment 4, the sacred eating meditation. This is around the 5-minute mark, and this is where it introduces some really powerful and, frankly, difficult boundaries.
Oh, yeah. The necessity to sit like a queen at her table. And that means no rush, no phone.
For a lot of people, that's the monumental challenge. It's harder than cooking the food.
Absolutely. Eliminating speed and digital distraction.
It requires an active declaration of sovereignty over your own time and space. The queen is not interrupted. You can't listen to the wisdom of your body if you're also listening to the demands of your inbox.
And to help with that focus, the script gives a very specific, actionable technique, the rule of 20.
The rule of 20 is brilliant because it's so specific. It says she chews 20 times, feeling the texture change. It's a quantifiable exercise in gratitude.
It forces you to be present.
It really does. 20 is high enough that it feels a little absurd, which forces your attention. If you're focused on counting, you're not focused on the stress of your day.
So the physical requirement is a meditative anchor. And then there are these acceptance mantras.
Yes. Each swallow means I accept love.
And each sip means I receive care.
The physical act of taking in sustenance is being used to reprogram emotional reception. You're practicing acceptance, not just thinking about it.
Then the script makes this really explicit connection between skipping breakfast in the past and being emotionally volatile in the present.
It does. Around 6.5 minutes, the character has this aha moment. She remembers mornings she skipped a meal, felt rushed, irritable.
And she realizes empty stomach equals empty patience.
The conclusion is so direct. Full heart needs full body. Physical fulfillment is the prerequisite for emotional stability.
Which brings us right to the core philosophical payoff. Segment 5, the breakfast wisdom teaching. This is the ultimate takeaway.
This is where the script performs a radical redefinition. It takes food out of the equation and substitutes a core value. The ultimate truth it offers is this: breakfast isn't food. Breakfast is self-respect.
That reframe is, it's profound, because it clarifies the emotional stakes of that morning decision. If that's true, then skipping a meal isn't just poor nutrition.
It's an act of deep self-neglect. The script suggests that every time you prioritize an external demand over your morning fuel, you're literally prioritizing that thing over your own worth.
The emotional stakes get so much higher.
It turns a dietary choice into a foundational commitment. It presents you with a clear binary. Skipping the meal is telling yourself, you don't matter first.
Whereas preparing it with love is saying, you are my first priority.
It forces you to witness your own priorities in real time.
So what does this all mean for the rest of your day? The script gives a really detailed sequence of benefits. The so-ret of all this.
Yeah, it lays out this chain of well-being. The sequence is full tummy equals clear mind equals kind words equals patient heart equals beautiful day.
Let's break that down. A full tummy solves the physical problem.
A clear mind solves the cognitive clutter.
Kind words and a patient heart solve interpersonal friction.
The entire argument is that self-care is a prerequisite for being a compassionate and productive person out in the world.
So the kindness you show the world starts with the kindness you show yourself at the breakfast table.
Exactly. When you snap at someone in the afternoon, the script would argue you're not snapping because of them. You're snapping because you skipped that foundational act of respect for yourself hours earlier.
It makes it so tangible.
Yeah.
As we get to the end, the closing meditation, the wise girl touches her belly and offers this final statement of gratitude to her own body.
Thank you for carrying me. I love you. It's the final act of acknowledging the body not as a machine to be refueled, but as a partner that deserves respect.
And the conclusion is this ultimate sense of preparedness. The declaration is, world, I'm ready because I loved me first.
That 8-minute act of self-care becomes your armor for the day. The whole wisdom of this source centers on that one declaration. Breakfast is the first, most tangible act of self-love every single day.
It's so easy to just dismiss these routines, but this deep dive shows how a tiny adjustment in your intention framing your meal as a love letter can fundamentally change your whole perception of self-worth.
Absolutely. And we analyze the script's specific symbols, eggs for new beginnings, butter for softness. But the real power lies in applying this philosophy beyond just the morning.
That's a powerful thought to leave you with. If the goal of this practice is to make every meal an opportunity to show self-respect, to write yourself a love letter, what new food metaphor will you use in your next intentional meal? That act of defining the ritual yourself, that's your power to begin again every single day.